This story takes place around about 1990, 1991. I was living in Vancouver at the time, and life was pretty decent. It was pretty decent. I had a job, I had an apartment, I had a girlfriend, and the job that I had, I worked in a factory that made, those little boxes that you put rings in with the velvety stuff on the outside? I worked in a place that made them. We made those. We made the bigger ones for, necklaces and that kind of stuff. My job pretty much day in, day out, the same thing, just constructing those boxes. And well, I'll tell you what, I also lived near a music store, and I had gone in and I had found this absolutely beautiful guitar. It was if I remember correctly, it was a Washburn Falcon, neck through body, solid wood, all brass hardware, beautiful, beautiful guitar. And I immediately fell in love with it. Now, thing is, I was a pretty crap guitarist, but I wanted that guitar so much. I figured if I could get my hands on that guitar, I could learn to be good. I could practice and I could get better, and I could become the next Jay Mascis or the next Thurston Moore. I could become the alt rock god that I was destined to be if I just had that beautiful guitar. I think it was about $450, something like that. And so I put it on lay-by, $50 every paycheck. Every Friday when I got a paycheck, I would just slap down that money and watch them, reduce that figure, and it was getting closer and closer. So comes the day, it was a Friday, it was payday, and it was going to be such a wonderful day. It was fall, and the air was crisp and clear. The sky was clear. The leaves were all turning brown. It was just enough bite that you needed to wear a jacket, but not too much that it was awful. And it was payday, so it was going to be my last paycheck. I was going to go in, work my shift, have a great day, and on the way home, I'd stop in and I'd pick up that guitar and I'd go home, and it would be awesome. And that was the plan. So I get to work, and my job for that day was cutting the fabric. Now the fabric, that velvety fabric on the outside of ring boxes, we had rolls and rolls of it, all different colors and different textures and stuff, all with heat sink glue or heat glue on the back so that we could wrap it around those boxes with a special machine. But my job was to cut the fabric into the right shape and the right size for each part for the day. So we had this big punch press and a big thing, hydraulic thing. It would go slam, and you put a little die in there, and it would attach to the top. You'd slide in the fabric, you'd hit the button, and it would slam, and you'd move it across, and it would do it. It would do it all day long. And decent machine, completely 100% illegal machine. Let's be honest about this. We'd already had workers' comp come in and look at the machine. See, the thing is, by that point, we'd started to get smarter in the world, and we realized that people would damage themselves with machines. So they had the system where you had to have two buttons. You'd slide it in and you'd hit two buttons. That's how all the new machines were. We had a piece of shit old machine that was foot operated. There was a little lever at the bottom, and you'd push your foot and it would slam down. Of course, this is dangerous. So they put in a plexi guard around it. So you'd have to lift it up and slide stuff in, slide it down, and then do your thing. Problem was a piece of shit. It was broken, it was cracked. And you could lift up one side without taking the whole thing off. And that's what we all did. We'd slide the fabric in. And the other problem was that the guard had a tiny little slot on either side. You'd try to slide the fabric through, and it would catch, and it would start to wrinkle up. So you'd have to lift it up and straighten it. And I'm sitting on what's basically a bar stool with that little ring around the thing with my foot up on that ring, and I'm leaning forward. I'm just like 10 minutes into work. I'd done like 20 of these things, and each one just more and more annoying. The fabric would just catch. It would just catch and wrinkle, and I'd have to fill it. I was getting annoyed, and it was just slowing everything down. So I'm leaning forward, and I've got my hand in there straightening up the fabric, the other hand holding up the plexi guard, and my foot slipped. And I hit that switch. Slam! Gone. Totally gone. Literally, you're looking at it here. No, it was gone. There was a mass of pulp at the end of my wrist. My thumb was fine. The rest was just mangled, just absolutely mangled. I immediately went into total shock. My sister worked in the same factory as me. She worked in the finishing room, which is just on the other side, and they would cut off the edges and pretty stuff up and package it for delivery. There's a whole table of them, and she happened to be the first aid person, the designated first aid person. So I kind of come walking through there, and she's like, "Hey, brother, what's up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know much, sis. You do something about this?" Literally half a pound of hamburger hanging off my hand, and she went as white as a sheet. And don't remember too much after that. I remember being bundled into a car and driven to the hospital. I remember lying there on a gurney in the hallway waiting for surgery. I remember the doctor, surgeon, whatever guy. He's like, anesthetist. That's the one of them anyway, putting the mask on, saying, "Count backward from 10, you'll smell onions. Don't worry, you won't get to 1. I'm like, 10, 9, 8, boom, gone. Just gone. And then when I woke up, I had a half cast all the way up. I had pins sticking out of every finger in all sorts of ways. Couldn't really see it. And oh yeah, by that point, shock was over, so I could actually start to feel it, and it hurt like fuck. It was just a mess. So I went back to work, picked up my paycheck. And then I went to the guitar store, and I walked in, and I slapped my $50 down. Guy behind the counter, he knows, he's seen me come in so many times. He's really happy for me. And he brings out the guitar from the back. They've been holding it for me. He's like, "It's all yours now." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I hold up my hand, and his face just fell. Musician, right? Left hand gone. There's no way I'm playing. I take this guitar home and put it in the corner, and it just sat there. I think it was about 3 months I was off with the whole thing healing, and it was awful. The first couple of weeks were the worst because sleeping, you twitch. You don't realize how much you twitch in your sleep, and every time I twitch, I didn't have bones. I had like fragments of stuff all sort of arranged in finger shape, and so every time you twitch, everything moves out of position, and it was just agonizing. It would just wake me up. And showering with a bread bag over my arm so the whole thing didn't get wet. 3 months or so of that, then back into the surgery, where amazingly enough, I go to the doctor's office, and it looks like a tiny little office with what looks like a dentist chair. And he looks at my hand, he peels it all off, and it smells like, because it's been in the cast thing. It's horrible. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine, it's healing good. Just got to take that pin out. There's a big pin in my knuckle here." And he opens a drawer, and I kid you not, Stanley brand pliers. Not medical, just Stanley brand with the big yellow grips on them. And 1 foot on the chair, me hold my arm, and he pulled that fucking pin right out. It left a little hole on the side. It started spouting juice. Not blood, not pus, just juice. Just weird juice came out of the joint. It was weird. And he writes me a little thing, and he says, "Okay, so you're going to have to go for physiotherapy once a week for the next X amount of time. You still have this much time off work. Yay, Canada, workers' comp." Yeah, and so another 6 months or so, and I thought, okay, so I fucked up my hand, but they fixed my hand, so I'm going to have a hand back. Just can't wait for this to be over. And I'm walking out of there, and my hand, it was like one of those plastic mannequin hands. It would not move. It was just this solid. Every joint was seized. It was just locked into one solid position, the same position it had been in that little cast. It just would not move. And I go for rehab, and really, really sweet girl. She's like, I don't know, 28 or something. She's just come out, school, and she's doing physiotherapy. Really, really nice. But oh man, she was mean. She'd just sit and crank my fingers down and hold them there and then let go, and they would just stay. My head would be shaking. Quiet tear going down my, trying to be manly about this, but they had this ultrasonic heat machine that would run over my knuckles. Didn't feel it, didn't notice any difference. I don't think it even worked, but they'd heat up the knuckles, and then they'd try and bend it, and they give me some exercises with little balls and stuff. I don't think that physiotherapy and the amount of work that they did any good. I don't think it helped at all. But I spent the entirety of that 6 months. Now remember, I said I was a shit guitarist. I spent the entirety of the rest of the 6 months sitting there on the corner of the bed with a guitar in my lap and my hand, which would not move. And I had to physically force each finger into position to make an E chord. Okay, let's try for an A minor. That's easy. Move the whole thing down. Moving each single finger, trying to get them to ring clean, each finger holding position. And eventually I got some sort of motion back. Eventually she started moving, and now, looks like a hand, looks normal. I can't, like you can, I don't know if you can see it. You can do that, right? But on this hand, I can only go that far. My fingers don't move properly. They don't, on this side, they don't move normally. If you've been watching my reviews for a while, you probably have seen that I have big scars down the side, and the shapes of my tips on this side they're not proper, they're not symmetrical, they don't work. But, the hand, it does function. I can build coils, and I can sort of play. Except I haven't played for about 4 years now, so I'm way out of practice and I'm very slow. That really killed my dreams of being an alt-rock god. I continued, I never stopped, mainly because I feel that if I didn't play at all, I would be totally crippled now. I would not have any motion here. It was the determination to actually master a handful of chords, and then a couple of scales, etc., that got me what little motion I have. But yeah, I spent 9 months off work from that, and the first 3, all I did was watch TV and smoke. I was a pack a day smoker at the beginning, about a pack and a half, 2 packs a day by the end. That tapered off once I got the cast off, because I could play and I could do some stuff. Was down to about a pack a day or so again by the end of that. But yeah, it was a horrible time. I have no point, no purpose to this story except to share it with you guys and let you know that no matter how bad things get, no matter how awful things seem, shit happens and you get over it and you get past it. This was 1990, so this is almost 30 years ago. Life moves on. This has nothing to do with vaping. I just wanted to tell a story. So I am done. I am out of here. See you guys next time. Maybe I'll tell you another story.